Hey everybody, this is Curtis from PSN Stores. Today we're looking at The Legend of Korra, the video game developed by Platinum Games. The Legend of Korra is of course, the TV show that is on Nickelodeon, follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you're not familiar with the show, essentially Korra is something known as the Avatar, which means that she has the gift to bend all four elements, whereas in this world there are people who are gifted and they are able to bend fire or earth or water or air. Korra, as the Avatar, she's able to bend all four, and so it's kind of her job to kind of keep harmony amongst the world whenever, like, you know, evil is afoot or whatever. So this game takes place between Book 2 and Book 3 of the show. The show calls their seasons books. It is currently on Book 4, which is the final season. But without getting too specific, at the end of Book 2, some things happen, and there's like, I want to say it's like a 2-week time frame before Book 3 begins. So that is kind of when this game takes place. Now, unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot of story here. They do have these animated scenes that were made specifically for the game. They were done by a different animation team. So I think in general this looks pretty good. But definitely Korra specifically, she looks off sometimes. Like, not all the time, like in specific situations her animation looks a little weird. And again, that's mainly due to the fact that it was just a different animation company that did these animations. That said, I do think it's pretty cool that they had stuff like that done specifically for this game. Now also, there's only a few of those, and none of them really do any sort of like storytelling in any way. The old guy that you saw there, he's kind of the main villain. They do reveal who he is and, you know, what his role is, I guess, in the overarching story of the series or whatever. But it's nothing huge. There's no, again, because there's like a 2-week time frame between Book 2 and Book 3. And Book 3 has already, you know, been done. You know, that has happened already. Like, you know, we're on Book 4 now. Like, anything huge that would have happened then probably would have been addressed in Book 3, so there wasn't like a whole lot of room for them to do anything. Like, I almost feel like it may have been better just to retell Book 1 or something like that. I don't know. But that said, let's kind of get into this game. Of course, Platinum is known for their character action games. So I think, you know, when you, especially if you know what the Avatar is, and you know, like, for me, I'm a big fan of both The Last Airbender and then Legend of Korra. I think Korra recently has really kind of come into its own. Book 3 was just awesome, like, and Book 4 has been pretty good so far. But the thing I love about the show is just, like, you know, it's the choreography, it's the fight scenes. Like, there's like an immense amount of scale in some of the scenes. Like, it's really cool to watch, and especially because, like, each of the different elements that they control, they're all based off like different forms of martial arts. So it's really cool, and like the animation is just really well done. And I think overall, you know, so these are kind of your different 4 elements and powers, and I should also, as you see, I have them all maxed out. So this is kind of, you know, what your combos might look like in game. And you can also charge these, do some real crazy stuff. But yeah, so what this game does is it opens up and you've got a bunch of enemies around you and you have all your powers maxed out and you're just, you're destroying them. And then they very quickly, actually right here, they take away all your powers. And so throughout the game, you have to go and you have to recover them. Now luckily, because I finished the game already, I keep my powers, and I keep them maxed out, and so I can just kind of go through the game with all my powers. Maybe unlock some new areas that were previously locked away. So that's pretty nice, because the thing is, like, one of the kind of issues with this game is that
old guy must be calling the shots.
by the time that you get, it's one of the things where, like, by the time you get all your powers back, by the time you have, a bunch of your combos unlocked and things kind of powered up, you're already pretty much at the end of the game. The game is maybe 3 hours long, if that. So it's real short. But that said, if once you beat the game, you can go on like the extreme difficulty setting, and you just have all your powers there, and you keep them. Even though like the story takes it, or the game takes it away, you keep your powers once you beat it, and so that's pretty cool. Especially because like I really like the combat in this game. Like it's not pretty much just about everything about this game. Again, it's a $15 kind of low budget title. So, keeping that in mind, pretty much everything about this game is pretty scaled down. I feel like Platinum, they're known for like over the top crazy set piece moments and things like that. And you're not really gonna get that in this game, which is kind of disappointing because the show has moments like that. The show has some really crazy stuff going on, and it's really cool. And it'd be awesome, to have sequences like that. Some of the like major fights in the show are like super crazy. Like the fight at the end of book 3 is pretty awesome. Like I really like that scene. And so to not have, like the final boss in this game kind of starts to reach the level of like real crazy over the top action that you would expect from Platinum. But that's the final boss, and really like other than that, there's not really a whole lot else that kind of reaches moments like that. Throughout most of the game, you're going to be fighting pretty much the same enemies. There's a little bit of variety thrown in, but not a ton. And so, even though I do like the combat quite a bit, having played through this game, twice now, it's starting to get kind of boring because I'm just kind of fighting the same guys over and over again. And it was even feeling that way, just the first time through. And also, like, these chapters, there's not really a story, so you're just going through kind of familiar areas. It's like, hey, this is the city from the show, and this is, whatever. And they're very linear. They're pretty sparsely. You're not gonna see any of the characters from the show. You have Korra. There's one other character who shows up kind of as like the tutorial guide for you. And then there's another character who is like the shopkeeper. And he, like, he was more of a main character in the original show, not as much in Korra. So that aside, like, there's really not, like, you would think, they would have different characters from the show, but they don't. Like, they're just not anywhere to be found, which is weird. So you've seen me like open some of these treasure chests. Essentially those give you vanity items, so they don't really do anything. They're just like a collectible in the game. You have walls like these, and then the chest like this one up ahead requires different elements. So like here, like this was just locked out on my first playthrough. because I didn't have the earth bending yet, or the water bending actually, or wind. I mean. So that's kind of one of the ways that they kind of get you to like replay different chapters. It's like, oh, you can go back to a previous one now that you have your air bending or whatever.
Okay, which way to Air Temple Island? I should ask someone on that street for help.
See, all of these are, there's different ranks to these vanity items. There's a C, B, A, S, and then double S. And the rank that you get, the way the game describes it, is dependent upon like a random number generator, but also it depends on like how much damage you do to the treasure chest. So the smaller ones you just hit once and that's it. But if you come across like one of the larger chests, and you do like a ton of damage to it in like a really long combo, you might get like an S rank item. Whereas there I got like a... That can get kind of annoying when like, because I was trying to get like the last two vanity items that I was missing, and it just took a really long time. Like, because I just had to go, like I kept having to go like back and forth between different treasure chests just to, and hope I would get lucky. Well, one thing about like, again, they don't do anything, but it's kind of cool. They are items that are specifically referencing things in the show. So you can't view them while you're in a chapter. It's weird, like for whatever reason, you can't view the vanity items that you have while you're in the chapter. Like you have to be at the chapter select screen. But that's one thing we can show. If I touch the touchpad here.
I have to equip items before.
So on the right side, you see all of my combos, and then those are like, when you first unlock an ability, like those combo trees are pretty small, and so you're constantly buying new combos as you go along. And then on the left side, you have some different things you can equip to the D-pad. So you have these talismans. We'll kind of look over some of those. So they kind of give you different boosts and different effects. So you have like it doubles your attack power, but your health is now 50%. So different things like that. So, and then you have like a healing talismans. Your health is constantly regenerating. You have Shadow Fist, which adds extra hits to your attacks, doing more damage, and it looks cool too. You have different things like that. Then you have items that you can equip. And so your healer's water can heal your health if it gets too low. Different things like that. That's stuff that you will buy from the store, and I'll show the store after this. I can enter the avatar state. So I'm pretty much invincible here, and I just, wreck stuff. To knock these guys off, I'll try to show some of the counter stuff. Alright, so these guys, right before they attack you, they will like glow red, and you can counter them. See if I can get the timing right here. So you can do things like that. There's some other different forms of counters. Those are pretty cool. They feel pretty satisfying. There are some enemies that you kind of really need to counter. So aside from the usual, you know, character action stuff, you also have these Naga segments, which is Naga is Korra's like polar bear dog companion. So you have these sections, which are real dumb. So if you played Temple Run, I guess this is kind of like that. I never played Temple Run, but I hear everyone comparing this section to that. But so you're on 3 different kind of like planes, and you can switch between them. You're collecting these. I don't remember the word that they use. This is kind of your currency in the game, so you're using to buy upgrades and different items. So I can slide under those things. And I can use my different elements as well. So fire, I can use like throw a fireball and I will destroy obstacles. Water gives me like a water shield. Earth will give me a double jump, which over here. I missed those. And then wind like lets you kind of sprint forward. When I first played this, like, I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, all right, this is kind of a neat little like diversion. These, you know, they very quickly get old, and I don't like this at all. Like, I do not care for this one bit. Especially there is one of these is a boss fight, sort of a, like, you know, you are fighting enemies while riding Naga, and it is just not fun. Alright, so we will show, let's look at the collection first. So these are your vanity items. And again, you know, if you've watched the show, whether it's like the original Avatar or The Legend of Korra, you know, you probably recognize quite a few of these. Like the cabbage is a thing, you know, that was kind of a running gag. You have your glider staff. You have all sorts of cool stuff for you, right? Here's the shop.
Have a look around.
And so here you're buying different like combos, different like upgrades to your different elements. These are the talismans you can buy. And then you also have different items that you'll use. So you have your healing item. This item will revive you if you die. This item lets you go into the avatar state without like having to charge up the little like icon. So different things like that.
Thank you. Come again.
And then again, we looked at Korra's room, but there are different costumes that you have.
What to wear today?
There's a secret code. I cannot remember. I think it's like... forget. I don't know. I forget what it is. I saw it, but I just don't really care to enter it. Anyways, there's one other mode in this game. So in The Legend of Korra, there is a sport called pro bending that appears kind of throughout the show, mostly in like the first season. And so they have like a kind of like a little tournament in a way that you can go through with a rookie, captain, or ace difficulty setting. So the thing with pro bending is that it is a 3-on-3 match where you use water, earth, and fire bending. And so one person can use water, one can use earth, one can use fire. Because you're a Korra, you have to use the water bending. You're kind of separated into zones, and so it's kind of like a kind of a push and pull sort of deal where you're trying to capture a zone. So we'll kind of go back and forth sometimes where you're trying to knock the other team back. If you can knock the entire team like off of the platform, you just instantly win. Otherwise, like when the round ends, when the time, like it's like a 3-minute timer or something, when the round ends, like whoever captures the most zone wins that round, and it's like best of 3. So Bolin and Mako are your 2 friends who were part of your team. So depending on, basically what this does is it takes whatever level your water, earth, and fire bending skill is at, and that's kind of what it applies here. So if you're like earth and fire bending, if you haven't been using those and they're not leveled up very much, like your teammates are going to be terrible. Now granted, their AI in general is not that great, but if you haven't leveled up their skills, that specific bending yet, like they're going to be really bad. Now luckily I have my stuff maxed out, so it should fare pretty well here, obviously. So this is kind of cool, like it's neat. Again, you know, if you watch the show, you'll recognize what this is. Like it's kind of it's a pretty good recreation of what pro bending is. Like it's pretty cool to be able to play it, but I don't really care for it all that much. The higher the ace difficulty setting is, it gets kind of frustrating, especially just because like your AI teammates are not very good, even when it's all level, even when their skills are all leveled up anyways. So it's whatever. But that is The Legend of Korra. I like it, but the more I played of it, the more I just kind of got bored with it. The combat's fun, you know, and that is as you would expect from Platinum Games. Like they make good character action games, and so naturally the combat in this game should be good. But this game should be a lot better, and I think a lot of the issues I have with it, you can attribute that to the fact that, hey, it's a very low budget downloadable game. So naturally it wouldn't be as, you know, as expansive and have the scale that their retail games do. So that's fair. But that doesn't, you know, again, it does feel like it's being held back. You know, it feels dumbed down. It's not the right word, but like as fun as the combat is, it doesn't feel. It feels like a kind of a smaller version of that, you know, of what you might expect from some of their other games. And so like, I think if you do like the show and if you like Platinum Games, like you'll probably have a good time with this. Like I did everything. I got the platinum in this game a couple hours ago, and so I did have a good time with it. But I think it's important, especially with this, to keep your expectations in check. To know going in that it does have its issues, and it's a very short game. There's not a whole lot to it. There's not a lot of variety to the enemies you fight, with the exception of the final boss. Like the other like boss type enemies that you fight are pretty much the same exact enemy, and so it does kind of get annoying to fight that same enemy over and over again. Especially because they could potentially kind of take a long time to fight if you don't know what you're doing. But the combat is enjoyable, and I think that is, you know, the actual part where you're playing the game, the fact that that's a lot of fun, that's kind of the important thing. And it does suck that like that your first playthrough, you're not gonna have most of your abilities unlocked for the majority of that playthrough, but you can immediately jump in, go to the like hard difficulty setting. This game is challenging. That is, you know, very true of any Platinum game. It's a difficult game. It is punishing, and it's also very rewarding when you're able to, you know, pull off crazy combos and beat like big hordes of enemies all at once. Like it's a lot. It is fun. It's got its issues, but I do think like if you are both a fan of the show and you like Platinum games, I think it's worth checking out. If not at 15, maybe if it gets a discount sometime down the line, it's definitely worth at least giving it a shot. But I would warn that you should keep your expectations in check. But that's gonna do it. Thank you for watching the video. The review should be up. If it's not up right now, it should be up very soon. So you can kind of read that, maybe get some more details about the game. But that said, that's gonna do it. Again, thanks for watching, and then keep coming back to PSN stores. We should have some more videos in the future.